All right, welcome to Geared Up on GeekWire. I'm Todd Bishop.
I'm Andrew Edwards.
We are going to be diving into all of the latest news from Google. We just got done watching Google's big Pixel unveiling from California, and Andrew and I are going to be running it down. Google unveiled the new Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL smartphones, plus a new premium Pixelbook laptop, new Echo Dot and Apple HomePod rivals, plus some magic translating earbuds.
Yeah, that's true. Those were cool.
They were very cool. And a new AI-powered camera called Google Clips, which I'm calling the sleeper hit of the show.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see about that.
Plus, we're going to talk a little bit about Sonos as well, which is going all in on Amazon Alexa. So stick around for all of that coming up this week on GeekWire. Okay, so Andrew, first off, the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL. Let's sort of set the stage here because in a lot of ways, this is the final piece of the smartphone market for the holiday 2017 season.
Mm-hmm.
You've had Apple and Samsung come out with their big unveilings. Now Google comes out with the Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL. What do people need to know? What are the basics and what do you think about them?
These phones look great as far as I'm concerned. It's really weird. Like Google made a point in saying today something that I thought was very true and very honest, and that is that these phones come out on a yearly basis from everybody, not just from Google, but everybody's releasing these phones on a yearly basis, and we're at a point where there's not much you can do from a hardware perspective to make these phones a huge leap, from last year to this year. There's not much more you can do with that form factor of a slab of glass and metal in your hand. So a lot of the magic of these smartphones has to come from the software, has to come from not only the software built into the phones, but the software on the cloud. And Google, probably better than anyone else, is able to kind of leverage that with the Google Assistant and machine learning. They've really gone all in, as they said, on AI. So these phones are really powered by that. It's all about Google's AI, the Google Assistant, and that kind of stuff. The hardware is nice, don't get me wrong. They were able to accomplish things like, what do they call the mode? I'm forgetting the mode. A portrait mode.
Yep.
They were able to accomplish portrait mode by using a single camera.
Whereas Apple, it requires two.
Right, or even Samsung. Samsung has something they call live focus. It's the same thing, but they need two cameras to accomplish it. And Google, through machine learning and all those algorithms, is able to accomplish something very similar in both the rear camera and the front camera using one camera on each side, which is, I think, a big accomplishment.
So just the basics here. The 5-inch Pixel 2 is going to start at $649 for the 64-gigabyte model. The 6-inch Pixel 2 starts at $849.
Pixel 2 XL.
That's right, Pixel 2 XL. That's
that
right.
I don't like because pretty much every other smartphone, but when they have those two sizes, it's $649 and then $749. It's like $100 difference. Like Google's putting a $200 difference there. I'm not sure why, because they also made mention, and I thought this was a little bit of spin. They said, we don't set aside features for our larger phone. In other words, Apple and Samsung say, hey, if you buy the small phone, you get this. If you buy the big phone, you get a couple extra features. But like you get a second camera, for example. And Google's like, we don't save features for our big phone, which is spin to me because, okay, then you also don't get a secondary camera that you can use for telephoto or wide angle because you choose not to use the extra space you have in your big phone. So, but you're charging $200 more for your big phone, and everybody else charges $100 more for the big phone, which does have more features. That's a little
interesting,
weird to me.
Now, it's only available through Google on Verizon, but at the same time, you can get it for other carriers if you buy it. It's unlocked.
Yeah, so you can go to the Google store right now. You can buy it from Verizon. You can buy the Verizon version, which is interesting because Verizon can't lock their phones by law. They bought a huge chunk of spectrum a number of years ago, and as part of that deal, they were told they could no longer lock their phones. So if you buy a Google version or if you buy a Verizon version, either way, you're getting an unlocked device. So take that for what it's worth. A couple interesting things that I thought. Number one, they dropped the headphone jack.
That's right. So this is just a USB-C.
USB-C.
Just like the iPhone.
That's right. They are including a dongle in the box, so if you do have traditional headphones, you can still plug them in. But as I told people a year ago, when Apple dropped that headphone jack, I told people next year expect to see Google do the same thing, and here it is, Pixel 2, no headphone jack. That's number one. But also, there were some interesting things about the software where they said we have these things that we've built in that are exclusive to the Pixel. Now, Google with Android has typically used the term stock Android, which means their phones, their first-party phones, have no customization. This is just, here's Android, pure, no changes. And now we're starting to see them say, hey, we're adding things to our Android experience on our smartphones that is no longer pure Android. It's no longer stock Android. If you want stock Android at this point, you have to go with the Essential phone because that is stock Android. And Google's first-party phones are now getting customizations. But that makes sense to me.
Yeah, regular listeners to the podcast will see in the feed a episode with a local entrepreneur who was not happy with the Essential phone stock Android experience.
There you go.
So,
I was wondering how that segment was going to go.
Yeah.
So, like, this phone is not great. I don't know what you're expecting here.
Yes, exactly. No, he's selling it on eBay. That was the gist of the story.
Funny.
So it's interesting that comes up here. Do you think people should think about the Pixel 2 in a different way because Google is building things on top of it?
I personally, so many people on the Android side of things, and this is like the fanboy thing though, but they say, I love stock Android. I need pure Android. And one reason for that is because a lot of these companies that edit the interface do it in a very poor way. Like, I don't like the way Samsung customizes Android at all. I'm not a big fan of that. LG, I don't mind it. HTC, I don't mind it. I think you need to have a differentiator for your device. And, you know, I said it last year and I'll say it again this year. The Google Pixel, the original Google Pixel, that was Android's iPhone. Like, every other Android device kind of specializes in it has the specializing in something. And the Pixel is it's more generalized. Like, everything is very good and it's competing. You know, if you're an iPhone user and you're going to switch over to Android, the Pixel is probably the thing that's going to best lure you over because it gives you a very similar, they take care of you in a very similar way. So I like that they're adding those customizations in there. I think it's a good thing to set your phone apart from others. That's what competition is all about. It's not about, hey, we just have this. No,
stock.
It's just stock. Just, you know, what? No, don't do that. Customize it. Make it, you know, good for people. Make it something that's easier to use for someone new to the platform, etc. So I think Google did a great job doing that with the new Pixel 2.
Excellent. Okay, so let's move on to the next announcement,
Okay.
which was the Google Home Mini. This is essentially a new competitor to the Amazon Echo Dot. This is
weird.
a $49 device.
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically taking the Google Home. They're following Amazon's footsteps here.
Right.
Taking the Google Home and miniaturizing it, turning it into a little speaker that'll sell for basically the exact same price as the Echo
I
Dot.
thought the Echo Dot was $35. Am I
Did they drop
incorrect?
the price?
I might be
they've
wrong.
been playing
They do a
around
lot of
with
sales all the time.
They do.
So, okay. But for $50, I mean, it's fine for $50, but the differentiating feature here has to be the Google Assistant versus Alexa, right? It's not about the hardware. The hardware is just a set of speakers that communicates with the cloud, and then a microphone that hears you. You communicate with the cloud, and the speaker speaks back to you, whatever it is. So is the Google Assistant that much better than Alexa? I don't know. I don't know if, they seem pretty similar to me. I have a Google Home and I have Alexa devices in my house. They seem very similar to me. I'm assuming this is their way of kind of getting people into they're trying to make an ecosystem here.
Exactly.
Like, Amazon has its ecosystem, but no phone. Apple obviously has its ecosystem. And Google, you saw today, they even, with laptops and everything, they're trying to create an ecosystem that keeps people locked in to the Google way of life.
And it seems that if you're a loyal Android user and you're thinking about these things, you use Google services all the time, you're going to be more likely to get something like the Google Home Mini, the Google Home,
that makes sense.
The Google Home Max, which is the other device that they launched today as an alternative to Apple's HomePod. Mm-hmm. It's a $399 speaker that is essentially kind of a premium audio experience, very similar to what Apple announced with the $349 HomePod.
Yeah, we were having a good time today with you guessing prices before they were announced, and you were like always way.
I was like,
off. Like, you thought Google was Amazon for a little while there.
Yeah,
like,
well, exactly. So my guess on the Google Home Max speaker, which ended up being $399. I was guessing $250. I think
you said $169.
Did I say $169?
You said $169. I said that's a little low. The HomePod's $349. Then you said okay, $249. Yeah, I'm surprised they went higher price than the
Apple.
HomePod on that, because it is a bigger speaker, but speakers aren't just about size; it's really about sound quality. So it's going to be interesting to see. They both launch in December. The Google Home Max, though, comes with 1 year of YouTube Red. So YouTube Red includes ad-free YouTube, but also 12 months of YouTube Music, which is their unlimited music service. So you are getting a pretty decent value there, because that's $10 a month. That's $120 of free unlimited music you're getting with the Google Home Max. I'm very excited to try these both out.
Very cool. All right, we've got a lot more to talk about on Geared Up from Apple, Sonos, Google, and others. We will be right back on Geared Up on GeekWire. All right, welcome back to Geared Up on GeekWire. I'm Todd Bishop.
I'm Andrew Edwards.
We are running down all of the announcements. We're running down all the announcements from Google this week, which came out with really a flood of news related to its Pixel lineup, its Made by Google lineup, phones, speakers, and a notebook.
Right.
The new Google Pixel Book.
Pixel Book.
This is really interesting to
terrible.
me. It's okay. So here's the backdrop here. The Chromebooks originally came out as really low-cost competitors to Windows PCs, essentially. They got a lot of traction in places like schools. In fact, by a lot of measures, Google is now the dominant PC company, essentially, in a lot of schools, especially in the U.S., because of the cheap Chromebooks. My daughter uses a Chromebook at home. It's, great machine from Acer. Now, here with the Pixel Book, you see Google essentially extending well beyond that budget approach. This is going to start at $999. It's going to go all the way up to about $1,650, depending on configuration. I mean,
what?
I wouldn't pay that much for a MacBook.
That's true. You wouldn't.
No.
That is true.
Plus, if you want to get a pen, it costs an additional $100.
Yep.
So this is a premium device. What I saw today was nice. It was high end, but it really made me think, like, if I'm going to be spending that much on a computer, I'm probably going to want a MacBook or perhaps one of the new Surface devices.
Right.
Or a Lenovo, a ThinkPad. I'm a huge fan of the ThinkPads. I mean, if I'm going to spend $1,600 on something like that, or even $1,000, I'm going to get something much nicer. So is that your main problem with it?
I don't know about nicer. I mean, it looks nice. It's a nice device. It has glass in the cover. Who wants glass in the laptop cover?
When you say the cover, you mean on the back?
Yeah. Like you drop your laptop.
Yeah,
and
that is.
Oh, whoops! My laptop shattered.
I'm sure that it's probably some sort of really sturdy glass.
Well, whatever. Apple said they put the strongest glass ever in the iPhone 8, and it still cracks. So yeah, but I mean, you're paying $1,000. Chrome OS is a web browser operating system. Okay,
I love it. We're running it on the screen behind us now.
That's fine. All I'm saying is, you're not doing Photoshop. You're not editing a video on your $1,600 Chrome Pixel Book.
The issue.
Now, they did release a premium computer a few years ago called the Chromebook Pixel. It was also pretty expensive. It was also just a web browser. You're paying for a web browser. The only differentiating feature that I saw here, okay, and I'm talking about charge, like it does fast charging. You can charge it from 0 to 50% using fast charging USB-C. That's fantastic. But the only differentiating feature that I saw that no other laptop can currently do, they're working with, did they say Instagram or it was Snapchat, where you can somehow use Snapchat from the browser. You can't do that in Safari or Chrome on another.
It was Snapchat.
Okay, so Snapchat will be optimized for the Google Pixel Book. Okay. I mean, I'm not buying. I'm going to pay $1,000 so I can Snapchat from my Pixel Book?
No.
I'm not doing that.
Okay.
What is this?
So based on your assessment, it sounds like this thing is not going to be taking over the world here.
No, it's not taking over schools at $1,000.
Yeah.
It's not taking over the world.
It seems
at
like a misfit.
$1,000.
It seems like a misfit. I see. This is where, like, for example, you would expect somebody like Amazon to come into the smartphone market with a budget device, and that's sort of like what I would expect from Google in PCs and computers. I expect the budget approach.
I mean, what you can, if you want, install Linux on this. I mean, if you want some positives, you can install a real operating system like Linux. You're not going to have a lot of all the software support that you do on any other operating systems, but you can install Linux. And it will run Android apps. So you can run full Android apps on this thing. But again, you want to run Android apps, buy an Android phone. I'm not paying $1,000 to $1,600 for a web browser.
Okay.
That's terrible.
I love it. I love it when you start ranting, Andrew. It's perfect. All right. Okay, so that is the Google Pixel Book. $999 to $1,649.
Are you getting one?
No.
Okay. I always got to ask.
No, I mean, I love the Chrome bits. That is
Yes.
what I love. Not
They
the
never talk about that
Chromecast.
thing.
Why don't that is to me what they should be doing? Not the Chromecast, but the Chrome bit. These are the things. They're tiny little computers on something that looks a little bit bigger than a Chromecast. You plug them into the HDMI port. We're using them on the screens here behind us. You use a little USB dongle, and you've got a keyboard and a mouse nearby, and it turns your large screen display into a computer, into a Chrome OS computer. Why aren't they going after that?
I don't know.
Like building that up. I don't know. To me, it's a great little device.
I agree.
All right. So again, that is the Pixel Book. Now let's talk about these. These are the new Google Pixel Buds.
Pixel Buds, what a name.
So these are the new wireless headphones,
Yeah.
earbuds.
Yeah.
Now, what's your take on these, Andrew?
These were cool. So when they first showed them, I was like, okay, they just have, I mean, there's so many of these wireless earbuds out there now. And these aren't the true wireless ones where there's no connection between them. It's two earbuds connected by a wire. They're Bluetooth, so they don't connect to your device. But what made me perk up,
So to be clear on that, they connect to each other behind your head, essentially.
right, yeah.
But they, unlike the AirPods, they are connected to each other. So like the AirPods connect directly to the phone, independent.
Bluetooth, yes. So
without a
wirelessly.
wire between them.
There's no
Yeah.
wire between the two AirPods.
But these connect via Bluetooth
Yes.
as well, but they are connected to each other.
That's right. And so they were giving them, so all the controls were in the right earbud, Pixel Bud, if you will. And one of the things you can do, though,
Yeah,
now this, it's cool, but it requires both people, I believe, to have a pair of these on. So you're gonna have to carry an extra pair around if you want. You know what I mean? What's the likelihood you're gonna run into someone
Is that
wearing
the case? Did the other guy have them on?
these? I think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I think so, though.
Okay, we need to
I
go
think
back
that'd
and
be
check
the case.
that.
But they started speaking to each other in their own native languages.
She was speaking
which
in
was
Swedish.
different. Okay, so she was speaking Swedish. He was speaking English, and they would hold down a button on the Pixel Bud and speak. The Pixel Bud would hear what they're saying, and then the other person wearing their Pixel Buds would hear what they were saying in a translated language.
No, I think on the demo it worked through the Pixel phone.
Oh, even better. Okay.
Yeah, so
Now
like
that's
she was,
cool.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
my understanding of
Okay.
it. Maybe I was misseeing that. We need to go back and watch
Yeah.
it. This is what happens when you do a hot take right after
Right.
the event ends. We haven't been able to go back.
But that
and
would
check
make
that.
sense, though.
The gist is you can use these headphones to do real-time translation from many languages to
Right.
many other languages, which really unlocks all sorts of cool possibilities.
That's cool. And if it works with the phone, that's even better, because then, you're way more likely to run into someone with an Android phone than you are that's wearing a pair of Pixel Buds.
So based on our report, the headphones feature a built-in translator that works with the Pixel.
Okay. Oh, Pixel
So,
specifically.
yeah.
So there's another Pixel exclusive feature then. It's not just any Android device running Oreo. It has to be the Pixel device.
Yeah.
Still, very cool to be able to just walk up to someone, speak in your own native tongue, they hear you in their native tongue, they answer you in their language, and then you hear it back in your language. That's the future.
So those are the Google Pixel Buds. They'll be available starting in November at a cost of $159.
Okay, not bad.
So that is one of the latest announcements from Google. We are running down all of the news from the Made by Google event, where they unveiled a phone, two phones, speakers, and a very interesting camera device, which
Yes.
we're going to get to next. You're listening to Geared Up on GeekWire, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to Geared Up on GeekWire. I'm Todd Bishop.
I'm Andrew Edwards.
All right, we are running down all of Google's announcements. We just got done watching the live stream of the Made by Google event from California, and the last announcement of their event was
Yes.
one of the most interesting to me, and in fact, I do think it was my favorite. It's a device called Google Clips. It's powered by artificial intelligence, and it's essentially a camera, a tiny little camera with a stand and the ability to clip it to a variety of things, which I guess is sort of the double meaning
Yes.
of clips. $249, hands-free. It can work as a stand, but the cool thing is that the AI, the artificial intelligence inside, kind of mimics what you would do as somebody taking pictures. You look for familiar faces.
Okay.
You look for people with their eyes open, smiling, and it takes little video snippets, little live photos, essentially,
Right.
that you can then use. And the idea is that instead of doing a selfie or having somebody else take your picture, you just set this thing down. You clip it to something. They showed it like being clipped to a bag of flour, and you get yourself in the photo as well as others. And the fascinating thing to me is how well does this thing actually work?
Yes, exactly.
So
Because there've been these types of devices before, but none of them with the powered by the Google Assistant and Google machine learning algorithm and all that stuff. So that is a pretty big deal, and goes back to what Google was saying earlier about it's not about the hardware anymore. It's about what's powering it on the back end. So this is a really good example of that. There have been these life casting cameras in the past that you'll clip onto your shirt and you'll go about your day, and it'll try to figure out like cool things that are happening and take pictures or little video clips. But this takes it to another level, or supposedly, we haven't tried it yet, takes it to another level by figuring out, Google knows you. All the photos you've uploaded to Google Photos, it knows, okay, these are the special people in this person's life. We can facially recognize them. This is what a baby looks like. So this is a babies. People usually want pictures of those things. So let's take a picture of this toddler who's walking and stumbling around. We can see it's a toddler. We can see it's stumbling. So it's probably just learning to walk. Like all these things, Google knows, and this camera is supposed to be able to recognize. Now, we don't know how good it's going to be. We don't know how, high quality it's going to be. Even if it is good at recognizing people, are the pictures going to be high quality, or the video is going to be high quality? But it's intriguing, to say the least. It's also kind of, I don't know, it's kind of odd. Like I do have some questions, like what's the battery life on this?
Yep.
If I clip it onto something, how long is it going to last? And I don't know. This is kind of like, to me, and I forget if they said, I think all the machine learning, did they say it was on this?
On the device.
Okay, good.
Essentially,
okay.
yeah. So, and that was really part of a privacy theme that they talked about, which harkens back to Google Glass and the whole issue that they raised there with people sort of creeping other people out wearing those things because they're not sure if they're being recorded. And they were very clear, like, this looks like a camera. There's a light that goes on when it starts. And you could tell that Google had learned the lessons of Glass in rolling out this new device, Clips.
That's good. Because I was going to say, if this thing was just constantly just recording and sending clips to Google, it's like the next level of like Alexa, which is always listening. And you're like, what is Amazon hearing in my house? If this was just constantly recording and sending clips in your house to Google, that'd be weird. But so it's all on device, so you don't have to worry about your photos or videos.
Well, the machine learning is
constantly.
Yeah.
But it is sending these things to Google Photos though, because it said like you can go in and see what it took and add it to Google Photos. So that's still going to be the storage mechanism for the photos. So are you picking one of these up? $250.
Yeah, definitely. This looks really cool. I like this concept. I like the idea. Do you
remember what you predicted this would cost?
Yeah, I think I was at like $125.
No,
it was $99.
You said $69.
$69. That's true.
$69, and then I responded by saying it's going to be $250.
You did, and it was boom. It was $250. It's funny. It's kind of like my dad is my dad is a souvenir wholesaler.
Okay.
My dad's.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, wow. And so he does Bigfoot souvenirs. If you walk into a souvenir shop with my dad, he can look around, see what's going on, sort of check the place out, know what cities he's in, and look at a coffee mug and say, that coffee mug is going to be $7.99. You pick it up and it's $7.99.
Wow.
You were like that for gadgets, Andrew.
That's me. That's me. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. But no, I mean, this is very cool. This is very cool. Like, I want to see more of this kind of stuff. This is like putting technology to work for you and simplifying the process of getting, whether it's nice photos or videos or really anything. It's just, you put it out there and it does the work for you. That is important. That's what technology should do.
That's right. This is the one thing that they announced today where we couldn't say, oh, this is like AirPods, or this is like Echo Dot, or this is like HomePod, or, how does this compare to the iPhone 10 or Samsung Galaxy S8? This is the one thing that is an actual, I'm sure there's other things like this out there, but in terms of the big tech companies, what they're coming out with, this looks unique.
Yeah. Everything else they announced was Google's version of something else. And it doesn't mean that they're copying anybody. Everybody has their own calendar.
Exactly.
Google comes out in October. Apple does September. Samsung is usually August. So a lot of people will say Samsung announced in August. So whatever Apple announces in September, Apple's copying, as if Apple had 3 weeks to copy everything. And then Google comes out, a couple weeks. Like no one's copying each other. This is just their calendar, their time frame. But since Google is last, it is kind of like they're releasing their version of this and their version of that. But with the clips, this is their This is their own thing, and I think it's cool. I'm just curious how many people are going to buy one, because it does. So the two things that I think go against it are, number one, the price. I do think it is kind of high, and number two, the size. Like, usually people don't want to pay a high price for something that they think is easily losable. So that we saw that with remember AirPods when they were first announced? Oh, I'm going to lose. Apple announced these $150 things. Everybody's just going to lose them. This is terrible. And I was like, just be an adult and don't lose your stuff, which I still have yet to lose any AirPods that I've had for almost a year now. It's the same thing, though. It's small. It's clippable. It's going to be clipped to something that a child might take it, and things like that. So you that's the only thing. I'm curious, like, how well will this do in the market? I think the technology in it sounds really cool. I just want to. I want it to succeed. I want to see where it goes. I'm curious what's going to happen with it.
Yeah, I guess you could call this sort of like a GoPro in some ways. Maybe I'm wrong in saying that. But it's more focused on sort of live stills versus
it doesn't have
video.
a screen. Well,
yeah.
It'll also do video clips, but it doesn't have a screen, so you're not going to take it and like see what you're doing. But I guess you could clip it to like yourself.
Yeah,
go skydiving or whatever.
Clip
that
it
would
to
probably
your kid
work.
or your dog.
There you go. Yeah, they said it's optimized for people with pets and kids.
Yeah.
Do you really need that many pictures of your pets? Like you're
Some
clipping
people,
this,
yes.
clipping this to take.
Well, you
pictures
could say
of
the
this
same thing about, do you
pets?
really need that many pictures of your kid?
I guess. I guess you could. I guess you could.
All right, so that is Google Clips. It's $249, and that's one of the pieces of news that Google announced today. I want to do a quick gear change before we
Switch gears.
end the shows. Let's switch gears here on Geared Up. In addition, today, Sonos announced a new device called the Sonos One with the ability to speak to Amazon Alexa. So it has essentially Alexa built in.
Built into the speaker.
And you're able to essentially control the device using Alexa.
I like that. So it's basically it's like an Amazon Echo, but way better speaker. But the cool thing about it, though, is that Sonos, it's not just Alexa. They're launching with Alexa, but they're adding Google Assistant to it as well. They're adding Apple AirPlay 2 sometime in 2018. So what they want to do, Sonos wants to be agnostic. They've been agnostic with music services. Like, you can pretty much use any music service you can think of. It'll work with Sonos. They want to be the same way with these voice assistants. They want you to be able to use, Siri or Alexa or Google Assistant or Bixby or really anything you can think of. They want you to be able to have that with Sonos. So the Sonos One is the first product they're releasing that does that. And I imagine it's akin to the Sonos Play One. It's a smaller speaker. It's not a Play 3. It's not a Play 5.
That's right.
It's not these bigger ones. And I imagine they'll be releasing the larger versions with this functionality as well. But if you're a current Sonos user, the cool thing is that they're also releasing a software update for those where they're not going to build Alexa into them, but you can control them with an Alexa device. So if you have a current Sonos speaker and you have an Amazon Echo, for example, you can ask Alexa to play whatever on your Sonos. Play this song on my living room Sonos, and it'll start doing that, which is also very cool because that's just a free software update.
That's right. So Google Assistant is going to be coming in 2018, and in addition, Apple will be
Apple AirPlay 2.
Yeah.
Yes, that's not Siri. AirPlay 2 just allows you to play music to the Sonos speaker without actually using the Sonos app. You can just use whatever app you want to use and just AirPlay it to the Sonos speaker, which makes it much more convenient.
Okay. So very interesting stuff from Sonos as well.
Absolutely.
So you're basically getting all this control through voice assistants. All these speakers are starting to adopt the various digital assistants and allow you to just conjure up your music with your voice.
Right. I feel like we're in a weird place right now. I feel like we're headed towards something, but we're like in the middle, like when the internet was first coming out. I feel like we're in AOL era right now for the smart stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're going, but it's very exciting right now. I mean, we're about to go to Mars, by the way. I mean, just to switch gears again.
Yes.
Elon Musk is like, hey, we're going to Mars in like 4 years. Get ready.
So I'm just reading this. It says, available today, current Sonos owners also get voice with Amazon Alexa through a free software update to existing speakers. But do you need an Alexa device like an Echo to control the existing speakers?
That's correct. The existing speakers don't have microphones built in. So you would use Alexa to play music to a Sonos versus using the Sonos with Alexa built in itself.
Got it. And that new device, which has Alexa built in, is priced at $199. It'll be available at October 24th. That's called the Sonos One.
Right. So $199 Sonos One with Alexa built in. We have $349 for the Apple HomePod with Siri built in coming in December, and then $399 for the Google Home Max,
Right.
which is also coming in December, and that includes 12 months of free music.
So that's the landscape for premium audio.
That's
listening.
correct. That's
All right.
correct. Yes.
Okay, thanks for sorting that out with me, Andrew. Good stuff. So until next time, I'm Todd Bishop.
I'm Andrew Edwards.
Thanks for listening to Geared Up on GeekWire. Talk to you next time, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Geared Up, the weekly tech and gadget podcast. Check out more of Andrew's reviews at youtube.com/gearlive and follow all of our coverage at geekwire.com.